Hi, my name is Goksu Danaci, and I'm your Students Union President. I'm here with Dr. Michael Spence, UCL's President and Provost. We asked you what topics were of interest, so we're here today to answer your questions. Hi, Michael. It's really good to see you.
Well, it's great to see you, actually. So how are things in the student union at the moment?
Yeah, really good. We've had a really good year.
So what are the things you're particularly proud of from this year?
Well, bringing in 2 million to our small works budget, that's
Yes.
something. That's a huge win. Refurbishment of the gym, of Gordon's Cafe, and obviously the Bloomsbury Theatre. It's just a miracle come true.
Yeah, the amount of activity that goes on in the student union and the combination of student activities, student representation, providing services on campus, advocacy at a national level, it's just incredibly impressive, but it must be fairly demanding for the student leadership team.
It really is.
And student engagement is amazing, right? Like the
Yeah.
number of students who vote in student union elections
Yeah.
certainly takes over campus for a couple of days.
Yeah. Let's start with 3 quick questions, Michael.
Sure.
What's your favorite place on our campuses, Michael?
There are lots of them, but I think probably my favourite place is the Petrie Museum. I love the fact that we have the world's oldest piece of clothing.
And what's your favorite lunch spot near Bloomsbury or UCL East?
Well, I can tell you where I usually have my lunch, which is that I usually buy it from the Students Union shop. I buy the instant porridge, so it's not particularly tasty lunch, but it is at least quick.
And how would you describe UCL in 3 words?
UCL's global, like London, the whole world is here. It's incredibly dynamic. It's just a place that always feels alive. There's something happening at UCL all the time. And excellent. It's a place with a deep passion for doing things well. So it's a difficult question. Describe a place as diverse and interesting and dynamic as UCL in 3 words. So I throw the question back to you. How would you describe UCL?
I'm going to use 4 words, home to cool nerds, just because we're fun and bold
Yes.
as an institution.
We certainly are.
So some departmental changes can take a long time to happen. How can students get involved in making improvements?
Look, the student voice is really important, and one of the things that's impressed me since I came to UCL is how students make a contribution to change in the institution at every level. Now, of course, change is a little slow sometimes in a university, not least because of the rights that students have when they sign up for a course. They sign up for a course on particular terms. They expect things to go the way that they've agreed until the course is finished. So if you're really going to make a modification to a course, that inevitably takes a certain amount of time as you see cohorts through and as you get those. But it doesn't mean that change doesn't happen, and it doesn't mean that students aren't listened to. Students are a really important voice here. The Bloomsbury Theatre's just moved to student union management. What are you going to do with it? What's the vision? What's the plan?
The vision for the Bloomsbury Theatre is that, we basically want it to become a key pillar for, student experience here on campus, and would like to see it evolving as a compelling reason for students to choose UCL. It's the only student-led West End theatre. I mean, that's
Amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's one of a kind. It aligns perfectly well with our student life strategy. So that's the vision.
Yeah, student theatre and music and the creative arts generally at UCL
Yeah.
are incredible, and to have a facility of that class is going to be very exciting.
Yeah. We've had a number of questions about the ongoing conflict and violence in Gaza. So why, as a university, are we not able to take a stance or make a public statement on this?
Yeah, look, the situation in Israel-Gaza is obviously incredibly distressing. But the university doesn't take public positions on issues outside the business of the university. It really encourages its staff and students to do that, but the university hosts a conversation. It's not itself a participant in the conversation. And sometimes people find that incredibly frustrating, particularly when they think that the answer to a particular matter of public debate is kind of obvious, that that it's clear what's going on and that the university should speak up. Well, I think history shows us that it's sometimes when the majority of people think that the answer is clear that the university has to be most careful about not joining in so that minority voices can be heard. We have to be careful to make sure that we're hosting the conversation, allowing staff and students to say what they feel to be true and important and obvious, or true and important and complex, but making space for everybody to make their arguments.
We've had a student expressing concerns about Islamophobia and women's safety on campus. So what is UCL's commitment to equality and tackling racism and sexual harassment, violence and abuse?
Look, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, racism, more generally, violence against women, they're rife. You know, they've always been a problem. We talk about them more now, but it's my perception that they are particularly acute issues at the moment, that it's not just that we're talking about them more, but that there are real issues in our society with these things. And UCL has to take a very strong stand. It has to just not tolerate that kind of behaviour. And I'd really encourage people to report through report and support when those things happen, to let us know, to if they feel able to do that, to put their name to the report so that we can follow it up and we can investigate it and we can take action as appropriate. But it's not just about what the university is doing. We've all got to take responsibility for minimising these kinds of behaviours and the harm that they cause. And I'm really proud of the work that the Students Union has done and that the university has done too in bystander training. You know, the Students Union program, 50,000 students going through the bystander training, because collectively we've got to make sure that we take a stand, because it's not the kind of community that a university can be, one that's marked by those sorts of behaviours. In terms of sexual violence in particular, we've been working to strengthen the kind of support that we give students, and I'd really encourage people to make sure before anything happens to someone they know or even to they themselves, that they know from our website what support is available.
Thank you.
So Goksu, we've received a question about the Project Period initiative. Tell us about that and how students can get involved.
Yeah, so we're working with Sustainable UCL on this. We're trying to raise awareness on the pros and cons of different disposable and reusable menstrual products, and this is both to basically inform the students and help break the taboo around products. So to reduce period poverty, we're providing biodegradable period products in gender-neutral toilets across campus. And we're working with departments to ensure that all departments are also providing these in their buildings.
And how did the union originally get involved in the initiative?
So we have a welfare and community officer and also an equity and inclusion officer. They're being very proactive this year, and I think it's all them, really.
That's terrific.
UCL is currently remodeling the main quad leading up to its 200th anniversary. So why are you prioritizing this improvement instead of paying staff more or supporting students more?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think you have to separate two different kinds of expenditure that the university has. One is where we invest in capital, basically in making sure that the university doesn't fall down, and the other has to do with our ongoing expenditure of different kinds. And obviously the repair and refurbishment of the quad is a part of our capital program. So I do think paying staff more and in supporting students is incredibly important. And of course, we've been putting more money into the Student Hardship Fund, and we announced last year an extra 110 million in pay over above the national award over the next 4 years. And for me, both of those things are a real priority. on the day-to-day expenditure side of our activity. So the question is, why the quad as a capital investment as a part? And the answer is, it's just needed work for a very long period of time. It's not accessible in the way that the gateway to the university really needs to be accessible for all our staff and students, and the work is going to address some of those things. It'll also give us facilities that we really lack as a university for hosting academic events of different kinds, and provide better facilities for staff and students right there at the entrance to the university. So it's not that it's been particularly prioritised for the bicentenary, but the bicentenary it's a happy coincidence, if you like, that a part of the legacy of the bicentenary will be the doing of long overdue maintenance and upgrading to what is really our signature building.
So that's all for today. Thank you so much.
Not at all. Thanks for the opportunity, and thank you particularly for people who submitted questions.